The rain pounded against the tall windows of the luxury mansion as 8-year-old Sophia wiped her tears with the back of her small hand. Her school uniform was torn at the sleeve, and mud stained her white socks from where she had fallen in the garden. The heavy wooden door slammed shut behind her stepmother, Mrs. Helena, whose perfectly manicured nails had just finished yanking Sophia inside by her arm. The sound echoed to the empty hallway like thunder, making the little girl jump and clutch her worn backpack tighter against her chest. "Look at yourself." Helena's voice cut through the silence like a sharp knife. She stood towering over Sophia, her expensive red dress flowing around her tall frame, her blonde hair pulled back in a perfect bun that never seemed to have even one strand out of place. "You are nothing but trouble, walking through mud like some street child when your father spends so much money on your education." Helena's green eyes flashed with anger as she pointed a long finger at the small puddles of water forming under Sophia's feet. "Clean this mess up right now, and then go to your room. You will not embarrass this family any more with your dirty clothes and careless behavior." Sophia's bottom lip trembled as she looked up at her stepmother. Ever since her real mother had died in a car accident 3 years ago, Helena had become the only mother figure in her life. Her father, Marcus Thompson, was one of the richest businessmen in the city, owning several technology companies and spending most of his time traveling for work. He had married Helena 2 years after Sophia's mother passed away, hoping to give his daughter the care and love she needed. But what Sophia received instead was a cold woman who seemed to hate everything about her existence. "I'm sorry, Mama Helena," Sophia whispered, her voice barely heard above the storm outside. "I didn't mean to get dirty. The other kids at school pushed me into mud during lunchtime, and I couldn't stop them. Please don't be angry with me. I promise I will be more careful next time." Her small hand shook as she tried to wipe away the tears that kept flowing down her pale cheeks. The bruise on her arm from where Helena had grabbed her was starting to turn purple, but she didn't dare complain about the pain. Helena's laugh was harsh and mean, filling the grand entrance hall with its ugly sound. "Pushed by other children? Stop making excuses for your clumsiness. If other children don't like you, maybe you should think about why that is. Maybe it's because you are just like your mother, weak and useless." The words hit Sophia like physical blows, each one making her heart hurt more than the last. Helena had said cruel things about Sophia's mother before, but tonight felt different. Tonight, her stepmother's hatred seemed even stronger than usual. "My mother wasn't weak," Sophia said quietly, her voice growing a little stronger even though her whole body was shaking. "My daddy told me she was brave and kind, and that she loved me very much. She wouldn't want you to be mean to me like this." The little girl looked up at Helena with eyes that held both fear and a tiny spark of courage. She clutched the small silver locket around her neck, the only thing she had left that belonged to her mother. Inside was a picture of her mother holding baby Sophia, both of them smiling happily. The anger in Helena's face turned into pure rage. She bent down until her face was level with Sophia's, her voice becoming a dangerous whisper. "Your mother is dead, you stupid child. She left you because she didn't want to deal with a burden like you. And your father? He only keeps you around because he feels guilty. But guilt doesn't last forever, Sophia. Soon he will realize that his life would be much better without you in it." Helena straightened up and smoothed down her dress, her voice returning to its normal cold tone. "Now clean up this mess and get out of my sight before I decide to call your father and tell him how badly you behaved today." Sophia dropped to her knees on the cold marble floor, her small hands trying to wipe up the water with the sleeves of her torn uniform. The fabric was already wet and dirty, so it didn't do much good, but she kept trying anyway because she was too afraid to stop. Her tears mixed with the rainwater on the floor as she whispered to herself, "Please, I'm your daughter. Please don't hate me so much. I just want someone to love me like Mama used to." But Helena had already walked away, her high heels clicking loudly on the marble as she disappeared into the kitchen. From the kitchen, Sophia could hear Helena talking on the phone, her voice sweet and fake in the way it always became when she spoke to Sophia's father. "Oh, yes, Marcus. Everything is wonderful here. Sophia is doing well in school, and we had such a nice afternoon together. She's upstairs doing her homework now like a good girl. You don't need to worry about anything at home while you're away on business." The lies came so easily from Helena's mouth, and Sophia knew that her father believed every word. Why would he doubt his beautiful wife, who always seemed so caring and concerned when he was around? That night, Sophia lay in her small bed in a room at the back of the house. Not the large bedroom she used to have when her mother was alive, but a tiny space that had once been used for storage. Helena had moved her there shortly after the wedding, claiming that the little girl needed to learn to be grateful for what she had instead of acting spoiled. The room was cold and dark, with only one small window that looked out onto the trash cans behind the house. Sophia pulled her thin blanket up to her chin and whispered into the darkness, "Daddy, when are you coming home? I need you so much. I try to be good, but nothing I do makes Helena happy. She says you don't really want me here, but that's not true, is it? Please come home and tell me you still love me." The next morning brought no relief from Helena's cruelty. Sophia woke up early and tried to make herself breakfast, but when she accidentally spilled some milk on the kitchen counter, Helena appeared like an angry storm cloud. "Can't you do anything right?" she screamed, grabbing Sophia's wrist so hard that the little girl cried out in pain. "Look at this mess. Do you think we have money to waste because of your carelessness?" Helena's grip tightened, and Sophia could feel her bones being squeezed until she thought they might break. I'm sorry. Sophia sobbed, trying to pull her arm free. "Please, let go. You're hurting me. I'll clean it up right away, I promise." But Helena wasn't listening. She dragged Sophia to the small closet under the stairs and pushed her inside, slamming the door shut. The space was completely dark and filled with old coats and cleaning supplies that smelled harsh and made Sophia's eyes water. "You can stay in there until you learn to be more careful," Helena called through the door. "Maybe some time alone will teach you to think before you act like such a clumsy child." Sophia hugged her knees to her chest in the tiny, dark space, trying not to think about the spiders she sometimes saw crawling around the closet floor. Hours passed, and her stomach began to hurt from hunger, but she didn't dare call out for Helena to let her go. The last time she complained about being locked in the closet, Helena had left her there for 2 whole days with only a cup of water. When her father had called to check on her, Helena had simply said that Sophia was at a friend's house for a sleepover. The lies always came so easily. When Helena finally opened the closet door late that afternoon, Sophia stumbled out on shaking legs, her school uniform wrinkled and her hair messy from being cramped in the small space. "Have you learned your lesson?" Helena asked in a voice that pretended to be caring, but held no real warmth. "Are you going to be more careful from now on, or do I need to teach you again?" Sophia nodded quickly, too scared to speak, and Helena smiled in a way that made the little girl's skin crawl. "Good. Now go upstairs and make yourself look presentable. Your father is coming home tonight, and I don't want him to see you looking like you've been rolling around in the dirt." The mention of her father coming home made Sophia's heart leap with hope and fear at the same time. She loved her daddy more than anything in the world, and she missed him terribly when he was away on his business trips. But she also knew that Helena would be watching her every move, ready to punish her later for any small mistake she might make in front of him. Sophia had learned the hard way that telling her father about Helena's treatment only made things worse when he left again. Helena would smile and explain away any bruises or tears, and Marcus Thompson was too busy and tired to look too closely at his daughter's sad eyes. That evening, Marcus came to the front door with his arms full of suitcases and gifts from his latest business trip. He was a tall man with kind brown eyes and graying hair, and when he smiled, Sophia could see the love he felt for his family. "There are my 2 favorite girls," he called out as Helena glided down the stairs in a beautiful blue dress, her arms outstretched to welcome him home. She kissed him on the cheek and took his coat, playing the perfect wife role that she had practiced so many times. "Welcome home, darling," Helena purred, her voice like honey. "We've missed you so much. Sophia has been such a good girl while you were away. She's been helping me around the house and doing wonderfully in school. Haven't you, sweetheart?" Helena turned to look at Sophia with eyes that held a silent warning. The little girl stood at the top of the stairs, wearing her nicest dress and with her hair brushed neatly, but her face was pale and her hands trembled slightly as she gripped the banister. "Hi, Daddy," Sophia said quietly, her voice barely carrying down to where her father stood. She wanted to run down the stairs and throw herself into his arms, to tell him everything that had happened while he was gone, but Helena's cold stare kept her frozen in place. "I miss you very much. Did you have a good trip?" The words came out stiff and formal, not all like the excited greeting she had practiced in her head during all those lonely hours in the closet. Marcus looked up at his daughter with concern creeping into his expression. Something seemed different about Sophia, something that made his heart ache even though he couldn't quite put his finger on what it was. "Come down here and give your old dad a hug," he said gently, setting down his suitcases and opening his arms wide. "I brought you something special from New York City. I think you're going to love it." His smile was warm and genuine, and for a moment, Sophia forgot about Helena's warnings and started to take a step down the stairs. But Helena moved quickly, gliding up the stairs to put her arm around Sophia's shoulders in what looked like a loving gesture, but felt like a trap to the little girl. "She's a bit tired, dear," Helena said smoothly. "We had a busy day together, didn't we, Sophia? Maybe she should have her dinner and get ready for bed soon. Growing girls need their sleep, and tomorrow is a school day." Helena's fingers pressed into Sophia's shoulder just hard enough to cause pain without leaving marks, and Sophia bit her lip to keep from crying out. "Actually, I was hoping we could all have dinner together," Marcus said, looking between his wife and daughter with growing confusion. "I've been away for 2 weeks, and I'd love to spend some time with both of you. We could order pizza and watch a movie, like we used to do when—" His voice trailed off as he realized he had been about to mention the family traditions he used to share with Sophia's mother. The atmosphere in the room suddenly became tense and uncomfortable. Helena's smile became strained, but she quickly recovered. "Of course, darling. That sounds wonderful. Sophia, why don't you go wash your hands while I call for pizza?" She squeezed the little girl's shoulder one more time before releasing her, and Sophia hurried toward the bathroom, grateful for a chance to escape the suffocating tension. In the bathroom mirror, she could see the finger-shaped bruises starting to form on her shoulder where Helena had gripped her, and she carefully pulled her dress sleeve up to cover them. During dinner, Sophia sat quietly at the big dining room table, picking at her slice of pizza while her father and Helena chatted about his business trip and her charity work. Every time Marcus tried to include Sophia in the conversation, Helena would smoothly redirect the topic back to adult matters, making it clear that the little girl's thoughts and feelings were not important. When Sophia accidentally knocked over a glass of water, reaching for a napkin, Helena's eyes flashed with anger even though her voice remained sweet. "Oh, clumsy Sophia," Helena said with a laugh that sounded forced. "She's always spilling things, aren't you, sweetheart? It's a good thing we have plenty of napkins." But under the table, out of Marcus's sight, Helena grabbed Sophia's wrist and twisted it just enough to make the little girl gasp in pain. The message was clear. There would be consequences later for this small accident, just like there always were. Marcus noticed his daughter's sudden intake of breath and looked at her with concern. "Are you okay, honey? You seem a little jumpy tonight." He reached across the table to touch Sophia's forehead, checking for fever, and his heart clenched when she flinched away from his gentle touch. "Sophia, what's wrong? You can tell Daddy if something is bothering you. I'm here now, and I want to help." For a moment, Sophia's resolve almost broke. She looked into her father's kind eyes and saw the love there, the genuine concern that made her want to pour out all her fears and pain. But then she caught sight of Helena's face over her father's shoulder, and the cold warning in her stepmother's expression made her blood freeze. "Nothing's wrong, Daddy," she whispered, looking down at her plate. "I'm just tired like Mama Helena said. Can I please go to bed now?" The word Mama, in reference to Helena, made something uncomfortable twist in Marcus's stomach, though he couldn't explain why. He had encouraged Sophia to call Helena by a motherly name, thinking it would help them bond as a family. But hearing it now felt wrong somehow. "Of course you can go to bed, sweetheart," he said softly. "But maybe tomorrow we can spend some time together. Just the two of us. We could go to the park, or maybe visit that ice cream shop you used to love so much. Would you like that?" Sophia's eyes lit up with a spark of hope, but before she could answer, Helena spoke up. "Oh, I'm afraid tomorrow won't work, darling. Sophia has a very busy schedule. She has extra tutoring in the morning, and then I promised to take her shopping for new school clothes. We wouldn't want to interrupt her routine, especially when she's been doing so well lately. Helena's explanation sounded perfectly reasonable, but Sophia knew the truth. There was no tutoring session, no shopping trip. Helena just couldn't bear the thought of father and daughter spending time alone together, away from her watchful control. That night, after Marcus had gone to bed exhausted from his long trip, Helena cornered Sophia in the hallway outside the little girl's room. Her face was twisted with rage, and her voice was a harsh whisper that cut through the darkness like a blade. "If you ever embarrass me like that again in front of your father, you will regret it for the rest of your miserable life," she hissed, grabbing Sophia's chin roughly and forcing the child to look up at her. "Did you see how he looked at you tonight? Like you were some fragile little flower that needed protecting? Well, let me tell you something, you worthless little brat. Nobody's going to protect you from me." "Please," Sophia whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I didn't do anything wrong. I just spilled some water by accident. Please don't hurt me anymore. I promise I'll be good. I promise I won't cause any more trouble." Her small hands pressed against the wall behind her as Helena loomed over her like a monster from her worst nightmares. Helena's laugh was cruel and cold. "You think being good will save you? You think your precious daddy will choose you over me if he finds out the truth? Let me tell you something. Little girl, men don't want to deal with damaged children. They want pretty wives who make their lives easier, not crying babies who remind them of dead women. Your father married me because he was tired of dealing with your constant neediness. He wants a real family, not the broken pieces left over from his past." "That's not true." Sophia cried out, louder than she had intended. "My daddy loves me. He told me I was a special girl, and that nothing would ever change that. You're lying because you're jealous that he loved my mama more than he could ever love you." The words tumbled out before Sophia could stop them, and immediately she knew she had made a terrible mistake. Helena's face went completely white with rage, and her hand rose as if she was going to strike the little girl. But before Helena could hit her, a voice came from down the hallway. "What's going on out here?" Marcus appeared in the doorway of his bedroom, wearing pajamas and looking concerned. "I heard voices. Is everything all right?" He walked toward them, and Helena immediately dropped her raised hand and put on her fake caring expression, though her breathing was still fast and angry. "Oh, everything is fine, dear," Helena said quickly, her voice artificially sweet. "Sophia had a bad dream, and I was just comforting her. Weren't you, sweetheart?" She put her arm around Sophia's shoulders again, squeezing just hard enough to remind the little girl of the consequences of telling the truth. "She gets nightmares sometimes when you're away on business trips. I think she misses you so much." Marcus looked at his daughter's tear-streaked face and felt his heart break a little. "Oh, honey, come here," he said gently, opening his arms. "It's okay to have bad dreams. Daddy's home now, and nothing can hurt you." Sophia wanted desperately to run to him, to tell him everything, but Helena's grip on her shoulder tightened painfully, and she knew what would happen if she disobeyed. "I'm okay now, Daddy," Sophia said in a small voice, not moving from Helena's side. "Mama Helena made me feel better. I think I can sleep now." The words tasted like poison in her mouth, but she forced herself to say them because she was more afraid of what Helena would do later than she was of lying to her father. Marcus looked confused and hurt by his daughter's rejection, but he nodded sadly and went back to his room. As soon as Marcus's bedroom door closed, Helena's mask dropped completely. She bent down to whisper in Sophia's ear, her voice filled with venom. "You see how easy it is to fool him? He believes whatever I tell him because he trusts me more than he trusts you. And why shouldn't he? I'm the one who takes care of this house, who makes his life comfortable and easy. You're just a reminder of his past, a burden he carries out of obligation." Helena's words cut deeper than any physical pain could have, and Sophia felt something inside her heart begin to break. The next few weeks fell into a horrible pattern. During the day when Marcus was at work, Helena would find new ways to torment Sophia. She would lock the little girl in the closet for hours at a time, sometimes forgetting to let her out until late at night. She would accidentally knock Sophia's school lunch out her hands, leaving her hungry all day. She would tear up Sophia's homework and then scold her for being irresponsible when her grades started to slip. And through it all, she would smile sweetly and play the perfect stepmother whenever Marcus was around. Sophia tried to tell her father what was happening, but Helena was always one step ahead. Every bruise had a reasonable explanation. Sophia had fallen down the stairs, or bumped into a door, or gotten hurt playing at school. Every tear was dismissed as childhood sensitivity or exhaustion from too much studying. And gradually, Sophia began to see doubt creeping into her father's eyes. He started to believe Helena's explanations about his daughter's behavioral problems and adjustment issues. One rainy Thursday afternoon, 3 weeks after Marcus had returned from his business trip, everything came to a head. Sophia had been trying to clean the kitchen after school when she accidentally broke one of Helena's expensive china plates. The crash of porcelain hitting the marble floor echoed through the house like a gunshot, and within seconds, Helena appeared in the doorway like an avenging angel of rage. "You clumsy, worthless little monster!" Helena screamed, grabbing Sophia by the hair and dragging her away from the broken pieces. "That plate was worth more money than your father spends on you in a month. How dare you touch my things with your careless hands?" She shook Sophia so hard that the little girl's teeth rattled, and then threw her to the floor next to the shattered china. I'm sorry." Sophia sobbed, tried to crawl away from the sharp pieces that were cutting into her knees. "It was an accident. I was just trying to help clean up. Please don't hurt me, Mama Helena. Please, I'm your daughter too. Please don't hate me so much." The words came out between broken sobs as Sophia curled up on the floor, her small body shaking with fear and pain. Helena stood over her like a terrible statue, her face twisted with disgust. "You are not my daughter," she spat. "You will never be my daughter. You are nothing but the leftover garbage from your father's previous life, and I am sick and tired pretending to care about you. Your real mother is dead, and good riddance. She was weak and pathetic, just like you, and this world is better off without both of you in it." At that exact moment, the front door opened and Marcus walked in, home early from work because of a canceled meeting. He had been looking forward to surprising his family, maybe taking them out for an early dinner or spending some quality time with Sophia. But instead, he walked into a scene that made his blood run cold. His little daughter was on the floor surrounded by broken china, bleeding from cuts on her knees and hands, while his wife stood over her with a face full of pure hatred. The sight hit Marcus like a physical blow. In that instant, he saw everything. The fear in Sophia's eyes that he had been ignoring, the way she flinched when Helena touched her, the gradual change from the bright, happy child she used to be into the frightened, withdrawn little girl she had become. All of Helena's careful lies and manipulations crumbled away in the face of this one moment of raw, undisguised cruelty. "Helena," Marcus said, his voice deadly quiet, "get away from my daughter. Right now." He dropped his briefcase and moved toward Sophia, his hands gentle as he carefully lifted her away from the broken china. The little girl clung to him desperately, her sobs muffled against his shirt as years of fear and loneliness poured out of her small body. "It's okay, baby girl," he whispered into her hair. "Daddy's here now. Daddy's going to fix everything." Helena's face went through several rapid changes as she realized what had just happened. The mask of the perfect stepmother was completely gone, replaced by panic as she understood that her carefully constructed web of lies was falling apart. "Marcus, you don't understand," she said quickly, her voice high and strained. "The child is completely out of control. She broke my plate deliberately out of spite, and when I tried to discipline her, she started this dramatic crying act. She's been manipulating you for months, trying to turn you against me." But Marcus wasn't listening to her excuses anymore. He was looking at his daughter, really looking at her for the first time in months. He saw the bruises on her arms that were too perfectly finger-shaped to be accidents. He saw how thin she'd become, as if she hadn't been eating properly. He saw the way she trembled in his arms, not just from crying, but from deep, bone-deep fear that no 8-year-old child should ever have to feel. "Pack your bags," Marcus said to Helena, his voice still quiet, but carrying a strength that made both Helena and Sophia look up at him in surprise. "I want you out of my house within the hour. And if you ever come near my daughter again, if you ever even think about contacting her, I will make sure you regret it for the rest of your life." His arms tightened protectively around Sophia as he felt her small body relax for the first time in months. Helena's face crumpled as she realized that all her plans were ruined. "You can't do this to me, Marcus. I love you. I've been taking care of your house. Your child. Everything I did was for this family. You can't just throw me away for one little misunderstanding." Her voice rose to a shriek as desperation took hold of her. "Taking care of my child?" Marcus repeated, his voice filled with a cold anger that Helena had never heard before. "Is that what you call terrorizing a little girl who lost her mother? Is that what you call breaking her spirit and making her afraid to even speak to her own father?" He stood up with Sophia in his arms, and the little girl wrapped her arms around his neck, finally feeling safe for the first time in 2 years. That night, after Helena had left the house in tears and angry threats, Marcus sat with Sophia in her small, cold room at the back of the house. For the first time, he really looked at where his daughter had been living, the tiny space with its single small window, the thin blanket on the narrow bed, the complete lack of toys or personal belongings that should fill a child's room. His heart broke as he realized how blind he'd been, how completely Helena had fooled him while his precious daughter suffered in silence. "Daddy," Sophia whispered, her voice hoarse from crying, "are you really going to keep her away? She said you didn't really want me here, that I was just a burden from your old life. She said you would choose her over me because she made your life easier." The pain in her small voice was almost more than Marcus could bear, and he pulled her closer against his chest. "Oh, my baby girl," Marcus said, his own voice breaking with emotion. "I am so sorry. I failed you in the worst possible way. I let that woman hurt you because I was too busy, too blind, too stupid to see what was really happening. But I want you to listen to me very carefully. Sophia, you are not a burden. You are the most important thing in my entire life. You are my daughter, my precious little girl, and nothing and no one will ever change that." Sophia looked up at her father with eyes that held a mixture of hope and fear. "But what if she comes back? What if she tries to hurt me again when you're not here to protect me?" The terror in her voice made Marcus's heart clench, and he knew he had a lot of work to do to rebuild the trust and security that Helena had destroyed. "She will never hurt you again," Marcus promised, his voice strong and certain. "I'm going to make sure of that. And I'm never going to leave you alone like that again. From now on, it's going to be just you and me, the way it should have been all along. We're going to be a real family again, and I'm going to spend every day making up for the time I lost, for the pain I let you suffer." Over the following months, Marcus kept his promise. He cut back on his business trips and rearranged his schedule so he could spend more time at home with Sophia. He moved her back into her original bedroom, the large, sunny room that had been hers when her mother was alive. He filled it with new toys, books, and all the things an 8-year-old girl should have. Most importantly, he listened to her when she spoke, really listened, and slowly helped her find her voice again. The healing process wasn't easy. Sophia had nightmares for weeks, waking up screaming that Helena was coming to hurt her. She flinched when adults reached toward her too quickly, and she hoarded food in her room because she was afraid of being hungry again. But with patience, love, and the help of a kind therapist, she gradually began to trust that she was safe, that her father really did love her, and that Helena was truly gone from their lives forever. On a sunny Saturday morning 6 months later, Sophia ran into the kitchen where Marcus was making pancakes, her favorite breakfast. She threw her arms around his waist and looked up at him with eyes that sparkled with happiness for the first time since her mother had died. "Daddy," she said, her voice strong and clear, "I love you so much. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for keeping your promise." Marcus bent down and hugged his daughter tightly, tears of joy streaming down his face. "Thank you for being brave enough to hold on until I could find you again," he whispered. "I love you more than all the stars in the sky, Sophia. And I promise you, we're going to have the most wonderful life together. Just the two of us, forever and always." And as father and daughter sat down to enjoy their breakfast together, the sunshine streaming through the windows of their home, both of them knew that the darkness was finally behind them. The little girl who had once begged through tears to be recognized as her father's daughter had finally found her way back to the love and safety she deserved. The story of little girl begged through tears, "Please, I'm your daughter," until Millionaire came home and had found its happy ending at last.